The mission of Rescuing Hope is to enlighten the public about sex trafficking in America, educate potential victims and first responders, and empower advocates and survivors. Although people are becoming more aware of the issue of sex trafficking in our country, there are still so many that have no idea of its magnitude and impact. Rescuing Hope provides a much-needed reality check to bring the issue front and center, address the myths, and reveal the real dangers to audiences across all walks of life.
It's called the crime hidden in plain sight. If it was blatant, if a trafficker had a sign or a t-shirt on that said, hey, I'm gonna rape and pillage you 10 to 30 times a night, I'm gonna make money, you're gonna live through your worst nightmare, or maybe you won't live, who would go with them? No one. So it's very normal, the things that we see, until you hear someone like me come and burst your bubble or change your lenses, and then the things that looked normal to you no longer look normal.
Rescuing Hope partners with schools, houses of worship, and community groups to arm students, parents, and the general public with the information they need to protect themselves and those around them from falling victim to a trafficker.
I think as individuals, as communities, we have a personal responsibility to figure out what the problem is and figure out what we can do to help. And there's so many things that can happen to young women and men, and if we can be cautious and educate and train them on how to do the right thing, I think things will get better.
For a long time, you only had law enforcement that were trying to figure out what these people looked like or what they acted like. And in this age of social media and computers, is so much more complicated. We need all hands on deck with this.
Sex traffickers don't discriminate. Race, gender, and socioeconomic status are irrelevant when looking for a victim. Instead, traffickers target potential victims that are vulnerable because this can make them easy to manipulate and control. The biggest population of vulnerable people are children.
We do see that. Those that we serve, we have seen them bounce back and forth. So the organizations, whether they're offering residential assistance or helping them find a job or helping them get an education, it takes a lot.
Rescuing Hope teaches middle and high school students how to play it safe by sharing age-appropriate facts, stories, and actionable tips that can help them avoid dangerous situations and empower them to protect themselves and those around them from falling victim to a trafficker.
The biggest thing that I learned today that I didn't know is just the ways that the traffickers will try to gain your trust.
There's so much more work to be done. When you look at the media and the current events, you see that the issue of sex trafficking is an immense problem. Our elected officials and law enforcement, they're really making a positive impact in order to get justice. But there's still hundreds and thousands who are enslaved. And so it's up to us as individuals to put our feet down and stand up for prevention and restoration.
In 2018, Rescuing Hope reached 5,036 people at 26 Enlighten events.
So with regard to education, we have come to understand that there are a lot of people out there who are first responders, and they may not even realize it. We have learned that there are specific areas that victims will encounter people in society that they could potentially be intersected, where someone could assist them if they knew the right questions to ask or if they knew what to look for. So we have developed first responder training for people in the area of education, medical personnel, and law enforcement.
According to Georgia Cares, 90% of the victims they serve were attending school when first approached by a trafficker. In a study published in 2014, 88% of the sex trafficking survivors interviewed reported they had received medical attention during the time they were being trafficked. A 2016 survey found that 90% of the responding survivors were arrested during the time they were being trafficked, and 42% were arrested more than 10 times.
First responders are those people who may have an intersection with a victim while they are in the life and they don't even realize it. And so we have created first responder training to help them identify some of the signs, to know the questions to ask, and how they can possibly be the person that is the difference between someone maintaining a life of exploitation or getting out of the life and developing a life of freedom where they thrive.
The Rescuing Hope first responder training programs are an effective method for increasing the number of identified sex trafficking victims. Sex Trafficking 101 is designed for those in education, teachers, counselors, school administrators, resource officers, and IT staff.
I'm on the school side of it, so as first responders, we need to be aware of what it looks like. And if you don't know what to look for, it would be so easy just to go to an assumption that they were just struggling with drugs or they were struggling with the wrong crowd. Anybody in the school that's dealing with children needs to be aware.
Diagnosis Trafficked is designed for medical professionals such as nurses, physicians, and intake personnel.
I had this one patient. It was a young female around my age, but she was with another woman. When I asked her, "Do you feel safe where you live?" She said yes, but she paused. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to separate her member in the room who would claim to be a family member, but was not. Once I got her separate from the person who was with her, she said, "Help me. I'm not safe. I need your help." I think it's important that other nurses and other medical staff get this training because we could be the only contact for that girl, that person, that boy for who knows how long. People come to the ER who are in sex trafficking all the time, but we don't know it. We don't always know the signs. But with this education, I was able to recognize the signs, the smallest sign, and help rescue that girl. We are supposed to ask every single person, do you feel safe? Are you in danger? Do you need help? But a lot of nurses say, hey, I have some silly questions for you. Do you feel safe? Like it's thrown under the bus too quickly. We say it too fast. We act like we don't care. We're too busy. We need to slow down. Nurses need to slow down and ask the most important question you could ask a patient. Do you feel safe?
Beneath the Surface is designed for those in law enforcement, such as police officers and attorneys.
I walked away from the training thinking that we were better prepared for the police department in order to identify the indicators that are prevalent in this type of crime, sexual exploitation, human trafficking. As a unit, we walked away and we wanted to better prepare our officers, our uniform division, as to the indicators that Susan talked about. I think the training was invaluable. So we initiated the training with Uniform Patrol, doing roll call, and then we had annual training within the unit, the Detective Bureau, to ensure that we were operating on a level that we should be. Something that I learned from the training that I used and implemented during my work was about a year ago. A young lady was in the Kennesaw area, and a male said that he ordered her off Craigslist. And when we got there, she was running away from the home. So we, at that point, rescued her. She hadn't eaten in several days, which is one of the indicators that Susan taught us. She was not very forthcoming, another indicator. She had on a lot of makeup, excessive makeup, another indicator. She gave a false name, and she hadn't eaten in several days. So those indicators alone, I immediately knew what kind of issue we had here and how we needed to go about investigating it. I think it's invaluable. I think it was some of the best training we've ever received in this particular field, in this particular genre of crime. And I think that if we can implement it, especially here in Metro Atlanta, where this is a major area for sex trafficking and exploitation of minors, I think if we can implement the training that we receive, then we'll do wonders of good.
The more first responders that can get trained, the more victims we will rescue.
In 2018, Rescuing Hope trained 936 people at 10 events. One of the biggest struggles that survivors face after escaping the oppression of trafficking is earning a livable wage. Getting an education and landing a good job aren't at the top of the list of priorities when you're fighting every day just to survive. So oftentimes, survivors become adults with minimal education and no stable work history. Struggling to make ends meet, puts additional stress on top of the hard work required to mentally and emotionally heal from the trauma a survivor has faced. The Marie McClanahan Education and Empowerment Program is designed to encourage survivors who wish to step up, further their education, and develop marketable skills.
Marie McClanahan was a very dear family friend to my family. She was never able to have children of her own, but she had a heart of gold and loved to give to others to help them better themselves and thrive. So when she passed away, she left a sum of money to Rescuing Hope because she loved the work we were doing and she really wanted to help the survivors. People can apply for this fund if they want to go to a trade school or go to a 2-year or 4-year school. Maybe they want to get a real estate license. We are thinking outside of the box and open to whatever a survivor brings to the table. If it is a way to better their lives and improve them, then that makes them a candidate for the Marie McClanahan Education and Empowerment Fund. The first recipient of the Marie McClanahan Education and Empowerment Fund is a young lady who is creative and energetic, and she is a unique learner. She knows that a classroom environment where you're sitting with pen and paper or a computer is not really her forte. So she wanted to try something different, and she wanted to take up welding. And we got excited about it and reached out to the Georgia Trade School. They have been an amazing partner to Rescuing Hope. They have worked with our survivor and recognized that there are seasons in life, situations, traumatic experiences, triggers that may cause them to have to press pause for a minute. And so they have worked with this young lady as she has gone through the program and gotten her credentials. And now she is a certified welder.
With this program, survivors are able to dream big, perhaps for the first time, about career options. With hard work, commitment, and the McClanahan program, survivors have employment choices to get excited about.
Here, I've always wanted to pursue welding, but just never was able to do it. And then Rescuing Hope reached out to me. That's how I found out about Georgia Trade, and it seemed more possible for me to come here in a 3.5-month program as a single mom than a program that takes 2 years. Working a part-time job on top of going to school and being a mom. So this just seemed more, able to work with my situation.
It's incredible to see how hard they work to get out of the situation. Perseverance, I think, would be the one thing that everybody here would say, because there's so many obstacles, adversities we watched them go through and experience, but it didn't stop them, and they graduated from the program. I think all of us get a little choked up talking about it, because knowing what somebody can go through and still come out on the other end with hope and a positive attitude about life and an excitement to really start something new it's very powerful. It sends a very impactful message that you can do it. You can get out of whatever your circumstances are and make a life for yourself and have something that you're proud of.
It's an experience that's changed my life for the better. Found a reason. Like for my own, it's the first thing I've done for myself and finished it out. It's one of the only things I'm proud of for myself other than being a mom. But it's something for me. It's like I was selfish for a second, and it's just been awesome. They've helped me change my life and my daughter's lives. And I'm just so thankful that they are the school that they are, and the instructors are amazing. A couple of them will be, lifetime friends and mentors. When I looked in the mirror then, before I met Susan and found Rescuing Hope, or you all found me, I just saw someone who was just existing. It was just a being. And now I see as a woman that is strong, and I made something of myself. That's what I see now. Keep the faith when you don't feel like you have anybody. just keep pushing forward. It's not going to be easy. You're not going to think you're worthy of anything, but you are more than worthy of everything. And that you can change your life as long as you can put in the hard work. What I take from Rescuing Hope, I guess, is hope. I always have someone and a team that's fighting for me, along with so many others. Just so many little things that make such a big difference in my life that they do.
Our vision is to eradicate sex trafficking.
But we can't do it alone.
You have the power to protect an individual from being victimized by a trafficker.
You have the power to help victims heal and go from surviving to thriving.
Join us in this fight.
Be the key.